Rock Dude here.
Hey, Marky Z, and welcome to another awesome episode of the Rockin' House. And we got special guest today, an amazing A-lister musician, not to mention an amazing guy. Nathan East is live with us from Las Vegas, Nevada.
If you wanted to use the term greatest bass player, it could easily be used today.
Yeah, he's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
We got Stanley Clarkson, we got, Jaco Pastorius is out there, but Nathan is right up with the best of the best. So
Absolutely.
I just want to get that clear with the fans of the show today.
And the resume, just to make things short, is ridiculous on all the artists he's played with. Everybody from Phil Collins to Eric Clapton since 1986 to present. He's probably going to stay with him until the end of Eric Clapton because they're buddies and they've been together forever. Phil Collins, favorite drummer. He loves playing with him. I mean, you're talking top flight musicians. This guy has played with them all.
And, of course, when you say Phil Collins, the first thing that comes to mind is the Phil Bailey album.
Nope.
And back in them days, he co-produced it with Phil Collins. And
Easy Lover.
Easy Lover. And then
Big one.
That's his bass line. I mean, it's
huge.
It's legendary, the Easy Lover bass line. So, but if you go back right after high school, in them days, he got his first break with Barry White. Big credit back in them the late 70s, because there wouldn't have been anybody bigger than, say, ABBA, Bee Gees,
and there's Barry White.
And there's Barry White.
That's
so
it.
To learn your chops
and that's
and have,
16.
Barry White have you under his wing, that's an amazing way to start your career out.
I'd say so.
Not that we have crystal balls to see what the future holds, but versatility, that's how you can get all the session work because you can play anything. So that's a great thing, the versatility. And I mean, I can point out versatility because give me that Jeff Lorber album. So this is like 82, right after the Barry White days, and then he's playing jazz fusion. And one of the noted guys on here was John Robinson, session drummer, who we know from like Chaka Khan and Rufus. So versatility is one of the things that Nathan brings to the table.
Oh, absolutely.
And he plays fingers, pick, slap bass. Gets the job done. So I just wanted to illustrate some of the things that he does, jazz fusion. And that was 1982. Then by 85, he was playing with Kenny Loggins at the world-renowned, as we remember, the Live Aid mark.
Yeah.
And he was discovered by Eric Clapton at Live Aid, basically. Or Eric Clapton said, "Hey, I want this guy in my band." So Nathan was glad to start playing with Eric Clapton. And Behind the Sun was the album for 85, which he was involved with too. Forever Man was the big hit, which we know. And then by 1986 was the first time you can go out and see Nathan East tour with Eric Clapton. This is the big August album, 86, and some of the earliest material that he did with Clapton. Great stuff. And then the way that you use it from The Color of Money.
Big song.
Big.
Big hit.
So, Nathan started off on a good footing with Eric Clapton. And anybody who wants a nice DVD, the 86 tour, live at Montrose, fantastic. Pick up a copy. Young Nathan East tearing it up. To this day, when you ask Phil Collins about this, one of the best bands he's played in and loved playing with Nathan, and 2 thumbs up from Phil Collins.
And that's how he feels about him. That's his favorite drummer.
Phil Collins often said he would have
hard hitting.
Phil said he would have liked to keep the band running longer. It's just enjoyable phase of everybody's career at that point, and Nathan was involved with that.
Absolutely.
So after the 80s phase, he went into the 90s as a highly regarded bass player for the world-renowned Foreplay band.
All your A-lister jazz artists.
Like Bob James, the Tops. Over their evolution, they had Lee Ritenour, which was the first guitar player in. Then they had Larry Carlton, who did work with Steely Dan, session work, all that stuff. And then
he's good friends with Steve Lukather, who's done a million credits as a guitar player. It's just, the list just goes on with this guy. But I'll tell you what, man, I think we should bring Nathan East on the show because he's got a lot to talk about with us. What do you think, Rock Dude?
Yeah, and like I say, in his Foreplay jazz band, three of the top guitar players. I mean, it doesn't matter what field of music you're talking about. You want to throw Hendrix out there and stuff. These cats that he played with in Foreplay are just amazing guitar musicians, players. And I meant to say the third guitar player in for Foreplay was Chuck Loeb, the late great Chuck Loeb. And one more thing I'd like to say before we go on here, I'd like to dedicate this to one of the musicians who was closest to Nate, the late great session great Ricky Larson, who played with Aretha Franklin and Michael Jackson, etc. So dedicated to Ricky Larson, and rest in peace, Ricky. We love him too, and of course Nathan did a lot of work with Ricky over the years. So 2 thumbs up to Ricky Larson.
All right, man. Rest in peace, my brother. Let's bring on Nathan East to the Rockin' House. Welcome, Nathan East, to the show.
Each time the wind blows, I hear your voice, so I call your name. Whispers and warning, our love is dawning. Heaven's glad you came. You know how I feel. This thing can't go wrong. I'm so proud to say hello.
All right, this is Marky Z, and welcome to another Season 3 episode. I have an amazing guest today, Nathan East. Took a while to get him on the show, but we finally got him. He's here today, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. The amount of his resume, who he's performed with and played with, from Eric Clapton in 1986 to playing and touring with Phil Collins, drummer at Genesis, and co-wrote and produced, I believe, Easy Lover with him. Steve Lukather. I could go on for days with the resume. All I want to say is, Nathan, we finally got you here. Welcome, my brother, to the Rockin' House. It's a pleasure to have you on our show today.
It is great to be here, and I know we've been working on this for most of the year, but it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank God, man. Blessed, thank God. Well, where do I start with a guy with your resume? Let's start with how you started. How did you become a musician? What called you to become a musician? And of course, we'll go into your very first major gig that you had an opportunity to get started with Barry White. Let's start with that.
Yeah, well, music filled the airs of the neighborhood, and back in the 70s when the folk masses were happening, my brothers and I, they were playing. My brother David was playing guitar,
Nice.
And my brother Ray, who's now Monsignor Ray East, has a parish called St. Teresa of Avila in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
At the time, we were in a church called Christ the King, and they were practicing, and there was an electric bass on a stand on the altar. Nobody was playing. No, this is a true story. Nobody was playing. I looked around and said, "Whose is this? Does anybody know whose it is?" Nobody knew. And I said, "It'd be cool to pick it up." Sure, So I picked it up, plugged it in, and started to play. And I had a gig with the band the next day. It was incredible, and I'll never forget the feeling
Wow.
that I had after picking it. I mean, really, I always say, I didn't discover the bass. The bass discovered me.
It was meant for you, man. I mean, I can relate to that as a musician myself, that I knew, when I was 7 years old, I seen the band Kiss, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, and it came natural to me. I just taught myself everything I know. I couldn't tell you notes other than basic stuff. It's a God-given talent, for sure, and I relate. That's an amazing story. Let's now go on to your first major gig. Barry White, wow, that's insane. Like, you got a major gig like that, awesome of a musician. I mean, wow.
It was unbelievable. Our local band called Power was the backup band for the Stax Review, so we backed up everybody.
Nice.
They came to San Diego and played at the Sports Screen, and so
Wow.
Rufus Thomas and a bunch of people. And Barry White was one of the artists. And when he heard our band, he hired the entire band on the spot to go tour with him.
That's amazing.
So
wow.
we ended up going around 16 years old, and I'm playing in Madison Square Garden,
Wow.
the Apollo Theater, the Kennedy Center, Cobo Hall in Detroit, and it was unbelievable.
Wow. This is at 16 years old.
16 years old.
That's insane.
we were all we were all kids, that wanted to be musicians. And he heard the band, and he had us up, invited us up to his office in
Wow.
LA. And I'll never forget, it was like the beginning. And I knew, after doing that, I said, okay, I have a funny feeling this is what I want to do.
Wow, and then it came natural to you, like you said. It was almost like God put that instrument right there for you to, here it is, brother, this is what I want you doing. And look where it led you, and your life is insane. All right, so for Barry White, you have such a laundry list of resume of so many amazing, iconic musicians you've performed with. Who came after Barry White that would be, a major musician that you got opportunity?
Well, on those sessions, he'd have like Ray Parker Jr. on guitar,
Wow.
Lee Ritenour, so like it was LA's finest. And in this business, it's pretty small. Word gets around fast. And
right. Yep.
And the arranger Gene Page, who's arranged everything from Elton John and Philadelphia Freedom and all these great songs. Those arrangements for Gene Page, Whitney Houston.
Wow.
And so he was the arranger on those sessions. And at that time, they said if he liked your work, you would be working nonstop. And that's exactly what happened. He called me for everything.
Wow.
So he called me for the Jacksons, Whitney Houston. And then, kind of once word gets around too, then I got a call from Quincy Jones, and he was producing Michael Jackson, and I got a call to go in there. And so literally there was a little snowball effect, and I was having my life.
Wow. Okay, so let's just a little bit of fast forwarding up until how you got connected with the iconic Eric Clapton that they used to call him the guitar god back in the day, Eric Clapton.
Right.
I mean, it's to my understanding that he met you because you were playing on stage at Live Aid, I believe, is that with Kenny Loggins, right?
Yes, I was doing Live Aid with Kenny Loggins, and when we came off the stage, there was Eric, standing off the stage. He says, "Man, great job. You want to hang out?" And
wow.
And I thought, well, how cool is this?
Beyond cool. And then the rest is history, right?
You never know who's watching when you're playing, so always be on your best behavior.
I agree. You never know if there's 15 or there's 100,000. You don't know. You're right,
Amazing.
100%. I do think about that, and I also keep that in the back of my mind whenever I play, no matter where I'm playing. But, okay, so you stayed with Eric Clapton all the way till even now. So that was an amazing connection for sure. And then everything in between that you've done with Phil Collins of Genesis, I mean, it just goes on and on. I mean, where do we go from there?
Well, it's Phil actually introduced me to Eric. We were recording Philip Bailey's album Chinese Wall,
wow.
And that was over in England, and that's where we wrote Easy Lover in the studio there, and so Phil, he would drive us in and out, Philip Bailey and I, in and out of town. They were out in Guildford and out sort of countryside,
wow.
about an hour outside of London, where a lot of musicians live, and Phil introduced me. We went to a pub, and Phil introduced me to Eric there, and there he was hanging out, and so it was kind of like destined to meet. I met him on a few occasions like that before we had even worked together.
Really? Okay, so it was several times before it actually happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And then the call came for the Behind the Sun album, which is just about 40 years ago that we recorded that record. It had a lot of great tunes on it, great musicians, Luke Thur and Jeff Porcaro, Greg Gaines, Michael O'Marty, and we're all on those sessions.
Amazing.
That were the sort of the Warner Brothers A-team.
Wow. Yeah, A-listers, no question about it. That's amazing. And then, of course, you have your other project that your band Foreplay, which is like the best musicians in the world in the jazz field, no question about it.
Foreplay came along at 1990, where
wow.
Bob James, we were recording for his album, and he asked Lee Ritenour and Harvey Mason both, who do you recommend for bass? And they both recommended me, which was...
You were the main guy.
and in the studio, he said, well, with this great chemistry here, you guys want to start a band? And, he even had the name Foreplay, and we thought, hey, that's cool. And he was an exec at Warner Records.
Wow.
And so next thing you know, we had a band. That was 30 years ago.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back with Nathan East in just a minute and talk about some more amazing stories and experiences he's had throughout his career in music in just a minute.
Now over here, Nathan East.
This is Marky Z. I'm back again with Nathan East on the Rockin' House today. Wow, it's already been the first segment. It was awesome what we just talked about. Let's talk about, my partner's a big fan of you, so I want to bring this up in this segment about how he met you, got pictures with you, he even has it up on the wall, it blew it up, it's beautiful, got a pic that you gave him, and that was at the Keswick Theater, I believe, when he met you. I think it was with your band Foreplay. Am I right with that?
Absolutely, and we've played there many, many times, and that's always a home going for me because being born in Philly, then I had all my aunts, uncles. Right. So literally, I had my own section of the Keswick Theater there. And then, of course, Harvey Mason being roots in Atlantic City, he had the Harvey Mason section. So it was a big family affair over there.
Right, right. And now let's go into some more of these amazing artists you play with. You perform with Chaka Khan. She's like a queen of R&B, right? I mean, like, that's insane. Not just performing, you're playing the bass and singing with her. That's insane.
Well, we on Foreplay, we usually have a guest artist, and so then we figure out what song they could sing. And I remember hearing Between the Sheets by the Isaac Brothers that suggested that, and we got her to sing. And then so it turned out to be a duet. So I'm going, man, what am I doing singing with Chaka Khan? You know, it's the best.
So you were blown away doing that.
I was blown away. Are you kidding?
How about it? That's amazing in itself. All right, so let's talk about some, God, there's so many million concerts you've played. What do you think are some of the most memorable shows you've gotten to perform? And I'm going to say with Eric Clapton, since you've been with him the longest as far as artists.
Well, we've played over 100 times at the Royal Albert Hall in London. And
nice.
I used to do the Princess Trust shows, so there was, Princess Diana and Prince Charles in the audience, and I played there when the Queen and Nelson Mandela were in the Royal Box, and we got to meet them afterwards.
That's amazing.
And then, on this side of the pond, one of the biggest gigs was 2 million people in the audience in front of the Lincoln Memorial in D.C. for President Barack Obama's inauguration.
Oh, wow.
Bono, Springsteen, James Taylor, Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
I mean, it was almost like the whole music industry, right there.
That's amazing. In front of 2 million people.
It was unbelievable. I'll never forget.
That's a sea of people that you can't even see the end.
No, you can't see the end for miles away and to the side, shoulder to shoulder.
Awesome. So let's talk about some of the gear, your signature gear. I see that you always have like, I think it's a silver tone bass, and with the lighting it could be a different color, but it seems like that 5-string Yamaha is that bass of your preference. I see it a lot.
Yeah, well, that's actually the 30th anniversary, the one that when you described as a pewter color.
Yes.
And it's a limited edition
Nice.
version of my signature bass, the BBNE 2 by Yamaha. And I call it the Swiss Army of instruments, because there's EQ and tones that I can get for just about any situation, live or in the studio. And so between that and my signature in-ear monitors made by 64 Audio, they're called the Nates.
Nice, nice.
And then I just got with a great amp company called Laney.
Oh yeah, awesome.
They're out of Birmingham, England. They're family owned since the late '60s, and then they really dedicated the I guess their father is bass player, and there's family of bass players and guitarists, so they really
absolutely
they really come up with some great gear. So we just got with them and Jim Dunlap strings, and it's nice. Been we're having a lot of fun.
Well, Nathan, one bass player to next. I mean, you're like an amazing, phenomenal bassist. To see you sing and play the way you do and make it look so easy. What is your preference? Or are you just I just play the bass with a pick, or I play with fingers? It depends on what I'm playing. Because with me, I like to record with a pick because I get a smoother tone. Fingers, it's kind of hard to keep the consistency. That's just me, but I'm just curious to know your preference, or is it equal with you?
Well, what I do is to kind of a little bit of both. I grow my fingernails a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
Just long enough so that if I need the pick sound,
got you.
But then if I need a little bit warmer sound, I can use more of the flesh part of the finger. So that means I always have a pick with me.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Okay, I don't want to do the fingernail thing, but I feel what you're saying, and there are a lot of musicians that pretty much do that.
Yeah, a lot of guitarists, with flamenco guitar and everything, they'll grow their nails long, and that'll be their picking.
Yep, awesome, man. Let's talk about Phil Collins. I mean, iconic drummer, iconic band, Genesis. I mean, you got to perform with him God knows how many times. I mean,
and he's one of my favorite drummers to play with. He's just got an incredible pocket, and he hits the drums so hard, it's just unbelievable. And we first worked together with Philip Bailey.
Wow.
And Philip, when Phil Collins was producing his album, Philip said, I'd like to bring Nate over and so we went to London and recorded it at a place called the Townhouse, and had so much fun, making that. And I just was so excited to play with Philip. The first day we went into the studio, Against All Odds became a #1 record, on Billboard. So day one, I'm working with a guy that says the #1 record in the country.
That's amazing, man.
And it was great. Yeah, the nicest, sweetest guy on and off the road with a work ethic I've never seen. First guy there, last guy to leave, and but one of the finest human beings you'd ever want to meet.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great thing. I think we're going to stop right there, and we're going to come back with Nathan, and we're going to talk about something amazing that's being released on September 16th with one of the biggest iconic musicians in the world. Be right back.
upstairs playing right now, and this is our rendition of his song, Sir Duke.
Marky Z back again with Nathan East. Wow, what an amazing show so far. But we are going to talk about, like I said, September 16th, Nathan East is on an album also with Steve Lukather as well, and some other big names with Ringo Starr putting
Peace
out a
and
new
love.
album, man.
Yes.
Nathan, let's talk about that amongst a few other things you want to talk about as we're, closing our last segment here on the show.
Well, first of all, Ringo calls himself. There's no assistant or manager or something. I mean, the phone rings and it's Ringo. So that's the first thing.
I love it.
Amazing. And he's a joy to work with. Obviously, those guys are ground zero. Invented the wheel for the music scene that we're in today. And so, not only do you get to hang out with one of the greatest guys, but he always loves to tell a lot of stories. Early stories, wow. And so it's always a joy. When he calls, and when he calls, you got to go.
Who's gonna say no? Yeah, my God.
Well, let me check the schedule. I'm busy.
Gee, Nate, you're busy with touring around with Clapton, but you said I'll have time to come to the Rockin' House, and I can't wait to come on here. So, I'm me and Rock Dude are blown away. We're humbled to have you and honored to have you on this show. Let's talk about some other things you've done. Daft Punk, is that the name of another project you're with that's been around for quite a bit?
Yeah, we did the Random Access Memories CD, and I think the song Get Lucky got Song of the Year at the Grammys, which we performed at the Grammys, and
wow.
It had the best time. And when you're on stage with Stevie Wonder and Pharrell and Nile Rodgers and Daft Punk, and then you look in the audience and there's Paul McCartney and Ringo dancing, and
it's like surreal.
Beyonce, the entire music industry is out there partying. It's kind of like, this is where I'd like to be right now.
Yeah, you think? How amazing is that? All right, so let's talk about that. So September 16th, this new album is being released. Is that right?
Yes, and very exciting because it's always fun to, again, be in the studio working with such great musicians and Steve Lukather and Joe Walsh. A lot of times you go up there and all the guys are there. He has a beautiful studio.
Wow.
And so very, very honored and to be in that such great company. New Andrea Bocelli Christmas album, which is coming out, I think, third week of October this year, and he has his kids singing on it with him. So
cool.
I hope it's okay to tease this project a little bit because it's very exciting.
Nice.
I've been asked to be the music producer for the National Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony at the White House this year, in December.
Wow!
And really looking forward to doing that. But the thing I'm most excited about is doing a project with my son Noah. Awesome. Noah East, who's become one of my favorite musicians. He's not only does he play piano, but he's now just really become an accomplished Hammond organ player.
Wow.
And that instrument alone just sends these great vibrations through the body. And I think he's been blessed with a gift. And we really look forward to doing the record together. And I'm having so much fun playing with it.
That's amazing. What a way to end the show is that you want to do something with the music career of your son and help him become successful like you. You couldn't end the show better than that. That's amazing. I want to say, Nathan, thank you so much for coming to being a guest on our show. We are honored to have a level caliber musician like you on this show, and being excited to be on our show just made our whole day.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Like I say, we've been talking about this for most of the year, so I'm glad we got to come out and rock out with you guys.
And Lord willing, we'll have you on the show again because you got so many crazy things going on, so many awesome things going on. I'm sure we'll have another show easily, and we'd love to have you back. And with that being said, Nathan, God bless you. Thank you again for coming and being a guest on our show. I'm Marky Z with my partner, Rock Dude, and I'm out.
God bless you.
I look in your eyes, I can see love so dangerously. You're not trusting your heart to anyone. You tell me you're gonna play a smile. We're through before we start. I believe that we were just